I've been working so long and so hard to get the first fish for 22.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So, as the title suggests, today we're going to be talking about my rod setups. So I'm going to be talking about what reel I have, what rod I have, what line I'm using, and what the purpose of the rod is for. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different rods. And they all have a very specific purpose for what I'm fishing with, what I'm fishing for, or how I'm fishing. So I'm gonna finish setting up these rods and we will hop into the video. And I was tying this up and I forgot to put the bullet weight on before I started to put my flipping hook on. Or I tied my flipping hook on and realized I didn't put my weight on. So yeah, that's a thing. Let's hop in the video. So got everything tied up. Let's hop right into it. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rods, I guess. I miscounted earlier. So, 9 rods. I have 2 or 3 more on the way, and those are custom rods made by Rods for Reels. I actually have 2 of his rods that were made for me. Well, one was kind of a gift. There's a little bit of a story behind that one. I'll summarize it whenever I get to that rod. But then Brandon from HellCreek had a rod made for me, so got one of them as well. Eventually all my rods will be shifted over to Rods for Real rods. Amazing rods. They're all handmade by Phil. They come in a wide variety of colors. You can customize them with whatever you want. I'll make a video dedicated to his company because HellCreek works with him, and that's actually who makes HellCreek rods, or it makes rods for HellCreek, is Phil from Rods for Real. I'll put his Instagram right here so you guys can go check him out. If you guys want to get a custom rod from him, tell him Fishing with Ty sent you. But let's hop into the video. So we're going to start off with the spinning reels because I don't use them much. If I'm using a spinning reel, or if you see a spinning reel in my hand, I'm struggling, especially in like a tournament video. If I'm just out fishing, I rarely ever pick up a spinning rod. I'm a very shallow, aggressive fisherman. I love shallow water. Anything out to like 7 feet, that is my prime. That is where I catch fish. That is what I know. That's what I live and breathe. So I went to move my camera because I'm using my big camera right now instead of my GoPro, and I unplugged it from my computer because it was charging, and it shut off because it died. So let's move into the rods. So I'm going to be using the GoPro to kind of go over the fine detail, and then we'll come back to big camera and talk about the rod. That's how we're going to do this one. So what I've got here is my heavy finesse, or my heavier finesse. It's got a little bit heavier line. My rod is a 7 foot medium, moderate fast. It is a Berkeley amp, and then I've got a Lews Speed Spin XSH30 on it, and I have pretty sure it's 12 pound. So I've got 12 pound P-line fluoroclear on this rod. Hi, cat. I've got 2 cats, my Maine Coon and then my baby around here somewhere. I know they'll jump up here and get in the way at least a few times during this video. But All my line is P-line floor clear for the just across all my reels. I've got 10, 12, 15, and 20, I believe. 20. And then anything above 20, we move into braid. So I got 25-pound braid and 50-pound braid. So on this reel, I have 12-pound P-line. It's just a little bit heavier than my light finesse. And that is for if I'm fishing around a little bit heavier cover. Normally what I'll run on this rod is a straight shank worm hook. I'm going to be throwing weightless Texas rigs with this. I'm going to be throwing flukes. That's kind of a forgotten bait these days, is the good old-fashioned fluke. That's anywhere you would throw a jerk bait, throw a fluke. It's been called the soft plastic jerk bait. They catch fish, 100%, especially if it's a tough bite. I'm gonna pick up this rod. I'm gonna throw this around docks, around laydowns, around cover. But yeah. So first rod. Why is this? I don't know. So first rod is heavy finesse. Well, heavier finesse. I'm be throwing flukes with this and weightless soft plastics. Next rod we're gonna move into is actually a Rods for Real custom rod. So actually, yeah, I'll keep using the GoPro. Ooh, gotta flip this around. So this rod is the HellCreek Sunny Days rod. It's like a nice baby blue. It's an amazing rod. It's a 610 medium moderate fast tip. And this is my lighter finesse. And then of course you guys will see a pattern here. All my reels but one are Lews. So the XS30 on this one. I like cheap stuff. I like cheap stuff that works. So this rod, like I said, is my lighter finesse, or my finesse. If you see this rod in my hand during a tournament, I am struggling. I am driving the struggle bus at that point. Because like I said with the other rod, I'm a very shallow, aggressive fisherman. I like fishing fast. I like moving. My fishing style emulates Gerald Swindle 100%. Super shallow, super fast, shoot, super aggressive. And that's just how my mind works, and that's how I catch fish. But this rod, this is the one that has a story behind it. Last year, I believe. Brandon lost his rod on the river. He flipped a kayak when he ran into a tree in some heavy current, rolled the kayak. Both rods came out. He lost everything. His rods came out. One was stuck in the tree. This rod went missing. He lost a shoe. Like when he came out of the water, he looked like a drowned rat. But he's perfectly okay. He's perfectly fine now. We found everything. I found his shoe. I found his tackle boxes. We found the one rod. I found this rod a month later. If I can find the video of Dylan and I finding it, I'll put it up right here. Or no, it was Mike. Mike and I. Pretty sure we found it. No? It was Dylan. If I find the video, I'll put it up right here. It was Mike or Dylan were with me. I really can't remember which one. But what I'm going to be throwing with this one is finesse techniques. This is the one I'm going to be throwing this summer around rock piles, probably in 7 to 8 feet of water. If I'm gonna be bed fishing this spring, I'm gonna be throwing this. This is just a net head with a HellCreek soft crawl. It's a relatively small bait. 3.5 inch crawl, including the feelers. If you'd like more information about these, hit up Brandon on HellCreek Outdoors LLC. He will set you up. That's really any of the baits you see. If I tell you it's a HellCreek bait and you want to know more about it, go to Instagram or the HellCreek YouTube page. I'll link both of them down in the description for you guys so it's easier to find. I 100% believe in Brandon. I believe in him since day one. He makes amazing baits. Like, everything he does is hand painted. We got the Sammys, we got Mr. J's. You guys will see some other baits made by him. The dingbats are all handmade by him. They're hand poured, hand painted, sanded. Every single one of those baits go through his hands. Well, really all the baits do, but like this is a Mega Bass 110. I have some other ones on the way. This is the suspending model. I'm getting the deep diver. I'm getting a deep dive or 2 or 3 deep divers from them. There'll be a whole video dedicated to HellCreek baits if you guys are interested in them. Probably in the next week or two, there'll be a video just completely dedicated to it. Oh. And also Phil's Instagram will be linked down below. Amazing rod. This is probably one of my favorite rods. Everybody who uses this rod wants to steal it from me. But on this, I've got 10-pound P-line, or 10-pound P-line fluoro clear. So lighter finesse, a little bit lighter line to get a little bit deeper. I use all copolymer. Out of all the line I've tested, I've found that this stuff works the best for me. May not work the best for you, but this is what works for me. If you want to try it out and it doesn't work for you, just try out some other stuff. Fishing is all about trial and error. So I wonder how many times I'm gonna hit that fan with my rods. So we'll move off into my worm rod, my pitching and flipping rod. So my pitching and flipping rod is a Hank Parker Signature Series Lews speed stick. It's a 7-foot medium heavy fast action. It is literally made for worm and jigs. That's what this rod's designed for. It's a carbon nanotube. Really nice rod. I love this rod for pitching and flipping. It's got enough backbone to get fish out of really whatever cover I have them stuck in. So, if you guys are wondering why there's tape on you'll see some tape on some of my rods and reels. This was when I was setting all my stuff up. I had all my reels out or disconnected from the rods. I re-spooled everything, and this will probably say something along the lines of light pitching, flipping, because I do have another pitching and flipping rod. So this would be my lighter stuff, and then it tells me what poundage I had on it, so I can match the reels to the rods, because I have 4 of the same reels on a lot of these rods. I use a lot of the 7.5 to 1s. I probably shouldn't for my crankbait. I should probably gear it down a little bit, or get one that's geared down a little bit, just so I can slow roll crankbaits a little bit better. But I manage. So this rod has 20-pound P-line on it. I'm gonna be pitching this into wood, really anything you can think of besides super heavy cover. I'm using this rod. I'm gonna be throwing creature baits, such as the Strike King craws, worms, really anything. I've got a pitching and flipping hook. Let's try to get this up here so you guys can see it. A pitching and flipping hook with a 1/4 ounce tungsten weight that is pegged. I like pegged weights. There's some instances where I won't run a peg, or I'll run the peg really, or farther up the line, so when that weight hits the bottom, your lure is still up a little bit, especially if you have a very buoyant soft plastic. It'll fall slower, and that'll create kind of a darting action. So when that bait comes down and then that weight stops pulling it, it'll kind of do this, especially if it's a lighter bait, and that's when a fish will smack it. So I'm gonna be pitching and flipping this really around anything that you would pitch and flip. There's very specific areas that I'll use my other pitching and flipping stick, and that'd be like inside of stumps and stuff. It's pretty heavy shank hook for really the lighter stuff, but I'd rather have a meaty, beefy hook that I can really lay into them and stick them good. Next rod and reel is my crankbait. All my crankbaits and rattle traps are thrown on this rod. This is the Lews Smash, the Lews Mock Smash. This is a combo rod and reel that you can really get from Bass Pro, or that you get from Bass Pro, or some Walmarts do have this one as well. It's a 6'10", medium heavy, moderate fast action. It has a little bit too stiff of a tip for crankbaiting. I'd rather prefer a moderate rod, but this is what I use for my crankbaits. In the future, I will be going to a probably lighter tipped rod for this, especially for crankbaits, because you want a little bit of, or you want a soft tip, especially when it comes to trebles. But I can get away with this rod and not worry about having just a moderate, because of the way this crankbait is set up, and we'll get into that. So one of my favorite crankbaits to throw, if I can get it off, is the HellCreek Hybrid. But like I said, I'll make a video dedicated to these baits. But the reason I can get away with using this crankbait with this rod is because we don't have a treble on the back. So you can get away with not having a dedicated crankbait rod while using this bait. Because when you're fishing treble hooks, you want a soft tipped rod to give them room to shake their head and not give them slack. The whole point of the crankbait rod is to make sure you do not give them any slack. Because once you give a fish slack while using treble hooks, it's like they know. They will shake their head and throw that bait. So in development, we realized that, so we threw a single, or I believe all of these are mustads. All the HellCreek baits have mustad hooks, or VMCs. One of the two. Super strong, super sharp hooks. So this is what I'm throwing a majority of the time. I've got a bunch of colors of the HellCreek hybrids, And Brandon can paint really anything you want with those. So crankbait. Oh. This has 15-pound P line on it. It's a little bit heavier line. A lot of the lakes I fish, there's walleye, pike, and muskie present in the lakes. So I run a little bit heavier line, just in case one of those toothy bastards decide to grab a hold of it. Because it's very, very possible to be fishing a bass tournament here in Iowa and you hook into like a 45-inch muskie or 40-inch muskie. So I'd rather have just a little bit of an insurance policy for that. Same thing with my spinnerbait rod, which I'll show you guys here in a minute. Because I don't want to break a bait off. Get that. I've hooked into, I believe, one muskie while bass fishing. I caught a walleye actually using a square bill in shallow water in riprap. Got a decent walleye. So there's a reason I run a little bit heavier line. Some people will say run 12 pound. I run 15. Just as a little bit of an insurance policy. So the next rod we're moving into, long thing, is my frog rod. If you guys have watched my channel for any amount of time, especially my topwater videos, during the summer, this is the only rod that's in my hand, is for a majority of the time. I absolutely love topwater frogging. I don't need something anymore. I absolutely love it. The frog bite, ugh. There is nothing better than a topwater frog bite. If you can think of something better, let me know. But I can't think of anything better than a topwater frog bite. So, give him a little GoPro here. So we have the Berkeley shock rod. It is a 7.5 foot heavy fast action. It says it could take 12 to 15 pound braid. Or no, braid, 15 to 40 pound, my bad. 7.5 foot. This is actually a surprisingly good rod for what it is. It's on the cheaper side of the rods, of course. All my rods are cheap besides like 4 of them. And the reason I went with this one is because it was a 7'6", and it was a heavy, and it is made for braid. The eyes are engineered for braid. It won't cut your braid, and like some rods will, because the eyes are a little bit softer because they're not used to the abrasiveness of braid. If you take a piece of braid, you can cut other line with it. Braid is very, very hard on equipment. So I've got this paired up on a XF15H speed spool. Like I said, you guys will see a pattern with all of my reels. I run all Lews. I absolutely love them. I have access to an SLX DC, a Shimano. Of course it's left-handed and I'm not, so I'll never use it. Dylan actually just picked that up. Absolutely crazy. I'd rather have 10, 11 rods with medium grade equipment than one really, really good rod and reel. Yeah. So, like I said, frog rod. I've got the HellCreek hook frog on this one. Which I'll kind of give you guys a little bit spiel about this. So the hook frog, it's got a single hook. And what's nice about these, when you get them, you don't need to boil the frogs. They're soft enough, as they're soft out of the package. There's probably about a 98% hookup rate. If you do everything correctly as a frog fisherman, you should not miss a strike. Well, 98% of the time you will. I'm just having all sorts of issues today. So, I don't remember what I was talking about. or where it kind of ended on that one. But my memory card was full. And I just cleared it, and I had a bunch of deer hunting footage from last year. But anyway, so what I have on this rod is Finn's Wind Tamer Pitch Black in 50 pound. I use super heavy braid mainly because of what I'm fishing around with this lure in particular, and I also throw really heavy top-waters and really heavy swim baits. Like, this is my big bait rod and my like heavy cover frog rod. The reason I use 50 pound braid is so I can horse those fish in and pull them really out of whatever situation I find myself in with a frog. This will actually slice through lily pads really easily. This rod has a lot of backbone to it. It's almost like using a tree branch. So for a cheaper Walmart rod, I like it. Moving on to the next one. Oh, and with those, I don't remember if earlier if it was in the video, but if you want more info on the Huck Frogs, let me know. We can get it in my specialty color, which is black and green, or we have a wide variety of colors as well. So if I get more info on that, go hit up Brandon and he will get you taken care of. So now we're gonna move on to the next rod. Ooh, this is my baby. So this is a rod made from Phil from Rods for Reels for Rods. I kind of got the name. But this rod is a MHX blank. It's a 7.6 medium heavy fast action rod, I believe. This is a rod made for HellCreek. It's got my name on it, and it's got something special on the tail end. I'll show you guys in the big camera. So this rod was custom made for me by Phil. Brandon ordered it, but on the butt of the rod there is a bunch of scratches on it. This is actually cobra snake skin that has been epoxied to the handle of my rod. So this is real snake skin under here. I've got a Lews XF15HA speed spool 7.5-1, and this is my jig rod. This is what I'm pitching and flipping with a jig. Actually, what I have on here is a 3/8 ounce. It's not a swim jig. It's more of a pitching and flipping, but it kind of has a swim jig head to it. I'm actually working with Dustin from BaitMrkt. I'll put his link down in the description as well. But Dustin has been an amazing and vital lifeline for HellCreek Lures. He does, well, what's the best way to explain it? So if you have an idea for a lure and you have no idea where to start, get a hold of Dustin. He can take it from idea to a physical bait in your hand and walk you through every step of the way. His company can also help you with selling the bait, unless you want the bait for just personal use. He can make you molds. He's actually the one who made the molds for the dingbats. But he's actually helped me develop a jig, and it's gonna closely relate, or it's gonna be close to this bait. There's a specific reason I really like this jig. The line tie is recessed into the head. so you don't have that piece sticking out to get stuff caught up on it. This just glides through grass a lot better. It moves like a swim bait through grass, but it's a pitching and flipping jig. And this one's a 3/8 ounce. I'm gonna get a 1/4 ounce, 3/8, and 1/2 ounce version of this specific jig. This will be the fishing with tide jig. I will let you guys know when I have those baits available if you guys would like to throw these jigs. But yeah, that'll be in the future. I'm still developing it with Dustin now. So anywhere you throw a jig, this is what I'm gonna use this rod for. It has enough backbone to pull them out of the backs of docks. It has enough backbone to pull them out of trees, out of brush piles. But it's also light enough that if I'm throwing this in 25 feet of water, I can still feel a really light bite. Super sensitive rod, which we don't find sensitivity and stoutness in a rod. But this one, I don't know, it's absolutely amazing. So, jig rod, also pitching and flipping. I'd probably throw some heavier punching as well with this rod. So if I'm fishing grass mats, stuff like that, and I'm trying to punch to the top of it, this is the rod I'm going to be using as well. But if I'm in like super heavy stuff, I'm going to use the frog rod to punch through that stuff. And that's if it's super just dirt nasty thick. I'm going to be throwing like a 3/4 ounce weight, a tungsten weight, to really punch through that stuff. But any pitching, flipping with the jig, any jig fishing, any heavier creature baits, stuff that would be too heavy for my lighter pitching and flipping rod, is going to go on this rod. And this has 25-pound braid on it, and I run straight braid. I know some people will tie a leader and stuff. I'm not smart enough to tie a leader, or I'm just lazy. I know probably eventually that's gonna bite me in the ass, but hey, I haven't lost a fish yet on it. So, 25-pound wind tamer, not wind tamer, but fins 40G, 25-pound. That's what I'm running on that reel. And it's the same exact reel as like the two previous ones, the XS15AH or whatever it is, 7.5-to-1. But I'm throwing 25-pound fins 40G on it. You'll actually see this on one other rod as well. Probably one of my favorite rods, especially from last year. Now, this rod is a relatively new rod and reel to me. I have not used it yet, so I cannot tell you really anything about the feel of the rod. This was given to me by a buddy. Well, the reel was given to me. He's taking the rod back, but I'm going to be using the rod and reel until my new rod shows up. Well, not my new rod, but Brendan's sending me some rods from Phil. So this reel is going to go on one of those rods, and then this rod is going to go back to my buddy. But this is a Bass Pro Qualifier Silver Series. 7-foot, medium heavy, fast action. Same thing with the reel. This would be a combo setup. And with this rod, a 7-foot, medium heavy, fast action rod with probably, I don't even know what line's on this reel, to be honest. This is I'm probably gonna have to take this stuff off. I wonder how much memory's in it. But this is a good universal rod, a 7-foot, medium heavy, fast action. You can really throw whatever you want with it. But for the purpose of this rod and reel for me, it's gonna be the good old chatterbait. Until my buddy is able to get a left-hander reel, because I reel with my right hand, or I operate the reel with my right hand, but then I switch to my left and then I reel with my right. I fish the same way Gerald Swindle does. You'll probably hear his name pop up a few times. I think Scott Martin fishes that way as well. I could be wrong, but I'm a little bit weird in that aspect. But weird's okay. We like weird around here. But this is a very universal rod. This is a very universal bait. Is the chatterbait. This one's a springtime killer. We're actually going to be with HellCreek. I think we're going to be developing a chatterbait. Not quite sure yet. I'm pretty sure we're going to have like a full line of a lot of different baits. Everything from spinner baits to jigs to crankbaits, soft plastics. We're developing and creating just an overall around good bait company that takes pride in the quality of their baits. If you guys understand that reference, kudos to you. I'm proud of you. So, like I said, I don't know much about this rod. I don't know much about the reel. I don't know really anything about it. But once I get into the year, get it a little bit farther in the year, we're gonna actually start fishing. I'll let you guys know more about it. But yeah, I'm gonna be throwing a chatterbait on that one. Just a good overall around bait. Next rod we're moving to is my jerkbait rod. You guys will see this rod a lot during the spring, especially cold, clear water. You're gonna see this rod in my hand quite a bit. Now, this rod is of course a Lews Xfinity speed stick. It's a 610 medium heavy fast action rod. And of course paired up with the XF15H mock Lews Xfinity speed spool? Yeah, the Xfinity speed spool. Now this one has 12 pound floor clear on it, made by P-Line. And this is gonna be my light swim bait. So I've actually got an example. This is probably one of my favorite springtime baits as well. I need to put a new line on this actually. Is a 3.7 Strike King with an underspin swim bait hook. This is an amazing springtime bait, along with the Mr. J, the 110 suspending jerkbait. These two are what will primarily be on this rod. I actually, I'll put a clip up right here of the fish I caught off this setup in cold water. I was pre-fished for a tournament. I was fishing a main lake point, and I actually pulled a bass off of the point with this. I've also caught some really, really nice bass off this one. Some 3.5 pounders post spawn. I don't know how I pulled them off the fly balls, but this bait just pissed them off enough to where they came out and just absolutely clobbered it. I caught 2 fish in that 3.5, 4 pound range, and this is probably about a pound fish. But this rod has a really fast tip to it, which is able to really get that jerkbait moving, which I like. I go a little bit lighter line so that bait can get down to where I need it to be with the 12 pound. If not, I'd be running 15. But I feel like the jerkbaits have a good enough action, or it's kind of a middle ground between that 12 pound, between the correct weight line and the correct line to get the bait down to the depths I want. That's why I run that 12. So jerkbait rod and light swim bait. If I'm throwing a heavier swim bait, of course I'll go to the frog rod and throw, the 5-6 inch swim baits. The last rod, and probably my most favorite, mainly because not only the color with black and green, but because the bait that I primarily use on this rod, or the only bait I use on this rod, and that is a spinnerbait. I love this rod and reel. It's one of my favorites. Anybody who uses this rod says they want to steal it as well. A lot of people want to steal my rods and reels. Should probably lock them up. Just have like armed security around all my rods and reels. But I'll show you guys what we got going here. You'll notice the pattern between all my rods and reels. The majority of them are Lews. So it's the Lews spinnerbait rod. This is a dedicated spinnerbait rod. It's developed and designed for spinnerbaits. Absolutely beautiful black and green. It is a 610 medium heavy, moderate fast. Has enough backbone to really drive a nice large spinnerbait hook through the fish's mouth. And I've caught some super nice fish with this rod and reel. And this one's a combo reel. So you get these ones together. I actually lost my favorite spinnerbait two or 3 weeks ago. I lost it in the river. It was a Dobbins 3/8 ounce with a gold blade. I missed that thing. I'm gonna be ordering some more. But we are gonna be developing spinnerbaits. I'm gonna be the one who makes the concept, design, and manufacturing of the HellCreek spinnerbaits. That is my whole goal and deal to help Brandon out, is I'm going to be doing the jigs and spinnerbaits for him. So I have been fishing spinnerbaits since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. I have a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Experience with spinnerbaits. I normally throw 3/8 ounce. If I'm going finesse, of course I'll go to 1/4 ounce. Or if I'm fishing super deep water, I'll go to 3/4 ounce. That is all up in the way right now. 3/4 ounce. Or if I'm fishing really, really deep water with a spinnerbait, I'm going to 1 ounce to really get it down there. Because these create lift, so they like to come up in the water column. I normally throw a willow blade, a gold willow with a silver chaser, whether it's another willow or like here a Colorado. But this is probably my absolute favorite bait to throw. I feel like Rick Clunn whenever I throw a spinnerbait. That's like his go-to, and this is probably one of my go-to lures. Is one of these. It is my confidence bait. If I roll up to a spot I've never fished before, and it looks like I catch a fish off of a spinnerbait, I'm throwing a spinnerbait. This would also be a good rod to throw a chatterbait on as well. But I have a chatterbait tied up on the other rod, so I'll throw a spinnerbait on this one. So there we go. There's all my rods and reels for the year. If you guys have any questions on the different setups, wait, on my spinnerbait rod, I'm throwing that Finn's 40G 25-pound straight braid on my spinnerbait rod. And you guys are probably sitting there thinking, why? Why are you throwing straight spinnerbait on, or straight braid on a spinnerbait rod? I know spinnerbait, wow, I've said spinnerbait way too many times. Braid on that rod, I'm not gonna try not to say the bait anymore. But I throw straight braid because, again, the lakes I fish, there's pike, muskie, and walleye. And I don't know if you ever fished a muskie or pike before, but they will bite clean through your line. So, especially when I'm throwing that, there's a high chance I'll run into a pike or muskie. So I throw straight braid on it, and I've caught 2 4.5 pounders, two 4.5 pound bass back to back, while using straight braid. yeah, if not, I would be throwing, I've actually got it in my spinnerbait box. Where's that line? If I wasn't throwing straight braid on that rod, I'd be throwing 14-pound monofilament on it. So I do have the correct line for you those who are gonna try to bitch at me. But like I said, the areas I fish, I run into some really, really nasty predators. So I go straight braid. That works for me. Whatever works for you, but that's what works for me. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about any of the rods or reels or any of the baits that are tied up, let me know down in the comments and I will send you to, if I can't help you or if you want to look at purchasing anything that I showed you, I can point you in the right direction. Thank you so much guys for watching this video. It's probably a longer video. No, was a longer video. If you made it this far, I truly appreciate you. There should be some more fishing content coming out soon. There isn't going to be a fishing video this week because it was snowing so damn bad. And I don't want to keep pushing out videos where I don't catch fish because I think there's like 2 or 3 in a row. And I don't want you guys to get bored. GoPro died. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you want to keep up with me and everything else I do, all of my shenanigans, make sure that subscribe button. And if you want to, hit that bell notification because the algorithm's not your friend. Remember that. Electricity will kill you, kid. But as always, guys, fish smart, fish safe, and I'll see y'all out on the water.